Hello everyone, thank you for joining the session. I hope you all enjoyed morning tea. So welcome to the Game Changers Real Stories of Impact in Healthy Food and Drink Provision in School and Community Sport session. So my name is Jade, I'm from Health and Wellbeing Queensland and I will be your chair today. In this session, we have three wonderful speakers from schools and community sport to talk to us about their experiences in making differences in providing healthier food and drinks to their communities, proving what's possible when passion meets action. So within this session today, we'll hear firsthand how they've created positive change and we'll gain some practical insights that you can apply in your own school and club canteens through exploring key themes across a range of community and school sport contexts. So before I invite the first speaker up, I will encourage you to get onto the app. If you do have any questions throughout the session today, pop them into the app. If you have a question for a specific speaker, please pop their name in the question as well, and we'll have time at the end to go through the questions with all of the speakers. So firstly, I would like to welcome Lauren Tuxworth to the stage as our first speaker. Lauren is a volunteer from Oxley State School P&C Association. Lauren joined the Oxley State School P&C as a volunteer in 2023. Initially taking on the role of canteen coordinator for the swim club, Lauren changed the menu to align with the Smart Choices strategy. Lauren then worked with the P&C executive on their project to reopen the school tuck shop after almost a 2-year closure, providing advice on how to overhaul the menu. In October 2024, the Oxley State School Tuck Shop reopened with a new menu, boasting a QOST 5 Apple rating, a benchmark achieved by only 5% of school tuck shops across Queensland. I'd like you to join me in welcoming Lauren to the stage.
Thank you, Jade. You're a very friendly-looking audience. Hello, everyone. I know that acknowledgements have already been done, but I just wanted to acknowledge the Yagara and Turrbal people before I start, who inhabit the Oxley area, known as Banarawa, which is the land and waters around what's known as Oxley Creek. So hello, it's lovely to be here this morning and to see so many, as I said, friendly, happy faces in the room. Today I'm going to be telling you about reopening the Oxley State School Tuck Shop and reopening it in a green and healthy way. So this is a story not just about our reopening and reopening our tuck shop after an almost 2-year closure, but also introducing a 5 Apple QOST rated menu and making the choice to do that. While also being entirely run by volunteers, so we had no paid convener. So this was at least up until 2 weeks ago when we have now employed a new convener. Turning over a modest profit and also executed in a way that at least we believe brought school staff, parents and kids along for the ride. So I'll just let you know that I'll talk a little bit about us, who we are. I'll then move on to our tuck shop story, providing a bit of a high level and then going into some of the detail, as well as outlining some of the key challenges and then just a few takeaway tips for any other schools or community organisations that might be in a similar position as us. So for those who don't know, I have actually run into quite a few Oxley Road corridor schools and people here already from the Graceville, Sherwood, Corinda area. But for those who aren't from that neck of the woods here in Brisbane, we're a primary school, Peter 6 primary school with just under 400 students. The P&C acts as a voice for parents and work closely with our school to achieve the best possible outcomes. We fund initiatives, so we do fundraising, we operate the school tuck shop, we run the Oxley Otters Swim Club, run the school prep gardens and also host events that bring our community together. From a tuck shop point of view, I guess it's also important to note that we don't have any major profit centres. So We don't operate a uniform shop or anything else like that that might be turning over a high degree of profit. So each of our cost centres really does need to support itself. So that was very important with our tuck shop. And here we are. So in terms of our timeline, in January 2023, our school tuck shop closed, and then, as we've already said, remained closed for 21 months. So there were a lot of things that contributed to this closure, including the loss of a convener. We also had some struggles post-COVID, so I'm sure many other schools or community organisations were in a similar boat, that COVID had its own challenges, but then JobSeeker also brought in an artificial environment, and then when that was gone, we had to readjust and may not have, in the meantime, readjusted to ensure that without the JobSeeker in place, that everything was making a profit. We had volunteer difficulties. We were really struggling to attract and retain volunteers, and we also had an old menu that had always struggled to incorporate the smart choices principles. And for those who are here but aren't here from a school, smart choices is the guidelines for healthy eating that school tuck shops should abide by. So as Jade said in her little intro, in mid-2023 I was getting involved on a very small basis with the school swim club. And the swim club had its own little tiny canteen associated with it that's run on Friday nights for a couple of hours, you know, during swim season, so like 6 months of the year, and, you know, turns over like $300 worth of food. Like, it's really tiny. But they needed someone to take on that role, and I said I would happily take on the role. I had a look at the menu, and again, while I could see that some really strong attempts had been made to ensure that it was compliant with the smart choices principles, I could see that it wasn't. So then I did some further research into how I could make that compliant, but also in a way that continued to offer some foods that families would want to eat, and not just kids, because it was, you know, adults coming too on Friday nights with their kids. So yeah, that was my first challenge. So I had a look at that menu, overhauled it, introduced it, and it was, you know, it was quite successful. It wasn't groundbreaking, like it was smart choices compliant, but it wasn't like 5 apple rated or anything like that. But we used that then as a test case for what could be done when we were going to reopen our school tuck shop. So throughout 2023 and 2024, there was a heap of planning. There was our P&C Vice President undertook a tuck shop project, and as part of that project, she created a tuck shop task force, which was a small group of parents who ended up getting involved to work with her on all the massive number of tasks involved in reopening a tuck shop after that amount of closure, and in a way that was going to mitigate the challenges and the issues or the mistakes that had been made previously. As part of that, she asked me to have a look at the menu, and we designed a menu that we thought that the kids would like, but also after much discussion came to the perspective that we should not only be like our swim club, looking for something that was sort of merely compliant, we should be looking for something that was sort of shooting for the stars. We were going to try to make it the healthiest menu we could, and at first, I mean, all parents were on board with the idea of offering healthy options for kids and something for them to choose from, but I guess there was some initial questions around, but shouldn't tuck shop be treat day? Shouldn't tuck shop be something that was a bit different and a bit, you know, a bit of a you know, treat or sweet or something like that? Firstly, that's not particularly compatible with the Smart Choices guidelines. But secondly, our Vice President went away and she had some discussions. She went and spoke with Quost and went to a couple of their events that were held there. And someone said something to her that stuck with her that she brought back to the P&C. And that was, these days, in the days of convenience, foods are absolutely everywhere. They're on every counter, they're in every every time you walk past a vending machine, they're in every single service station. These sorts of treat foods are absolutely everywhere these days. And while we might have this idea of 30 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever it happens to be, when we were at school, that Tuck Shop was treat day, these days treats are absolutely everywhere and children are bombarded with treat options. And for some kids, for their parents to have the convenience to be able to order food one day a week that they know will be healthy is really important. And so she brought that feedback back to us, and as a P&C we decided that yes, this is what we're going to offer in our Tuck Shop. We're going to offer all foods that their parents can give their kids the app and say, order what you want this week for Tuck Shop, and know that whatever they pick will have some nutritional value to it. So anyway, got off on a bit of a tangent there. But anyway, by October 2024, we reopened our Tuck Shop, had the menu rated by Quast, and it came back as a 5-apple rated menu. So that was sort of the high-level timeline, and I just thought I'd give a little bit more of the details for those who might be interested. So the Tuck Shop Task Force really covered a lot. They did some research, so they had a look at what other schools were doing, asked them in sort of group chats about, what do you guys do? What healthy options do you provide? What do you find stores well? What can you batch cook? All those sorts of things. There's lots of resources on the Quast website, and then, as I said before, also went along to different events where they could gather information. Community engagement was hugely important for us because we had a lot to communicate. So we had a lot of change, but we also had a lot that needed to be communicated. We were not only making a change or a tweak, we were reopening a Tuck Shop. We were reopening it to operate in a way that it hadn't operated before. We were changing the menu. We were, so we were doing a lot. So communication and community engagement were really, really important. We surveyed parents and staff, and then also that third bullet point is engagement via student council. So all of those involved a survey of some description. I've put a snapshot of it up onto the screen, but as you can see, we saw this also as a really important educational piece. So we needed to help parents who hadn't previously understand that the days of going to your Tuck Shop and being able to order a large sausage roll and a can of Coke were gone, and that this is what needed to be provided now, and not only needed to be provided, but if it was provided, what would they think their kids would enjoy? What would their kids like? So we used a few questions in our survey as educational pieces. We asked parents, do you understand what Smart Choices is? Do you understand that as a school, we are only allowed to provide treats that are high in fat, sugar, salt twice per term, that any other time that we are offering food within our school environment, that it needs to have a reasonable nutritional value to it. And not only was the results of that survey interesting for us to know to help our comms further down the line, but it was also in and of itself a comms piece that helped to educate people. We got some great feedback from that in terms of menu preferences and how much parents would be prepared to pay, whether staff were interested in purchasing from our Tuck Shop. So had some great feedback from that. The student council then went around to every classroom, including the preppies, and asked them to rate out of a list of about 30 healthy menu items. So we only gave them the ideas of what we were prepared to put on our menu, what they would rate in terms of their top 10. The student council collated that information, then brought it back to us, and then we incorporated that when selecting our final menu. We developed our Smart Choices menu. The Tuck Shop Task Force also overtook food safety, compliance and risk management tasks. They did some infrastructure upgrades to storage and lighting and all sorts of things in our Tuck Shop to make it a more appealing space for volunteers to work in. It used to be really dim and dark. There were operations processes and documentation that needed to be updated. They needed to source some cost-effective, sustainable packaging for these new menu items that we were going to offer. They also understood that packaging is really important in selling the product. So if the food looks good and is presented in a nice way, then parents and families and students are more likely to order it or order it again. We had a pricing strategy, so I've included a little tiny snapshot there, but we used the lessons learned from the swim club canteen, and we brought that over. We added in the cost of conveners, wages, superannuation, packaging, everything into every menu item from the very start, because even though we knew that we would have to undertake this on an entirely volunteer basis for at least the first term, our ultimate goal was to employ a convener. So we needed to know that by the time we did that, we could cover their wages and also use that first term as a test. And then we also had a look at our online ordering system, decided to remain with Flexi Schools, did a Quast mini tune-up, and as I said, did quite a bit of comms as well. So I'm running out of time. I'll just be quick with these last couple of slides. In terms of the challenges, it really was a lot of work for volunteers. These next 2 points, nutrition literacy and gaps in smart choices knowledge, kind of go together. They were a challenge, but as you can see in terms of our survey and some of our comms, there were ways that we tried to increase knowledge and literacy as we went along, but it continues to sometimes be a challenge. There were operational changes required for fresh foods with batch cooking, pre-ordering, those sorts of things. And convener recruitment has been really tough for us, but as of 2 weeks ago, we have now recruited a new Tuxworth convener. So tips. Have a clear plan and a very realistic time frame. Even if you're not doing a massive tuck shop reopening like we were, even if it's just making some changes to your menu, have a very realistic time frame, especially when you know that it's all on volunteers. Limit the menu options, at least initially. Make your job easier for yourself. Don't include drinks if you have plenty of places around your school or sporting club where people can fill up water bottles. Chunk up stages. Use the resources, so Quast, the smart choices, Ready Reckoner, those kinds of things. Consider sustainability where possible. So this is our school compost bin where we're now composting the peels off all of this lovely fresh fruit that we're selling. And engage and communicate with stakeholders. Even if you're just updating a menu, there's definite ways that we should be incorporating the comms and making sure that we bring our stakeholders along for the ride. And the final tip is have fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. And just a reminder, if you do have questions, please pop it into the app. We'll then get all the speakers up at the end of the session to ask them some questions. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Adam Hyland, who is the Hospitality Operations Leader through the City of Gold Coast. So Adam has been working in hospitality since he was 15 years old. He has held roles within 5-star hotels, restaurant chains, not-for-profit organisations and local government. Adam is passionate about developing an awesome team around him and offering value for money experiences to his guests. Thank you, Adam.
Hello, everybody. Mustn't be many people in the other room because I think everybody is here. It certainly feels like it from up here. Technology, we'll see if it's my friend today. My name's Adam Hyland. I am the Hospitality Operations Leader at the City of Gold Coast. I'm going to share my story, obviously with a better choice, but specifically with our Pick Me for Kids. I hope you can get something out of the good things that I've done, but probably learn from my mistakes as well. To start with, I'd like to talk to you about a powerful and universal emotion: fear. Fear is an intrinsic part of the human experience, deeply rooted in our biology and our evolution. It's a response that's helped our ancestors survive for millions of years. We've all experienced fear. When we were a kid, it was probably the dark, vegetables, or needles. As adults, we fear crowds, heights, public speaking. When we're faced with fear, our brain has a reaction. Do I fight or do I run? Fight or flight. Depending on what the fear is, a lion in the jungle, I'm running. Public speaking, I guess I chose to fight today. Now we all face it, it's part of being human. Fear. When I first heard about the better choice, fear was my first emotion. I had no idea what it was. All I remember my manager saying is, we have to turn all our menu green. Like what? For me, my fear reaction was fight. Okay, you want me to do this? So I'm going to find out what this is about. I want to do some research. So that's what I did. I researched, I Googled, I read articles. I tried to find anything I could to actually discredit the program. If we do this, we're going to lose money, I said. I invested my time to try not to do this. When I focused on the better choice strategy documents, what did I feel? It was fear. Have you read it? It's 48 pages. I kept asking myself, what if? What if we don't make money? What if we upset our customers? What if? After all my reading, my researching, my Googling, I finally had an opportunity to meet Jade. After 30 minutes with Jade, I was like, sure, I'll do it, no problems. When do you want me to start? Pilot program? Yeah, I'll try a pilot program. Why? Because it finally made sense. I'd done lots of research, I'd done lots of Googling, but having a conversation with Jade was the first time I'd actually spoken to somebody about the program. And it clicked into place. I didn't need to change my entire menu. I didn't need to upset all my customers. Simple changes is all I needed. My team operates 10 outlets across 6 venues around the city of Gold Coast. A mixture of cafes, kiosks, coffee carts, bars. Our focus was on the Coomera Indoor Sports Centre. Built for the 2018 Commonwealth Games. It's a multi-purpose facility, caters for community users, community sporting groups, school sports, sporting events and elite sports. It's home to the Gold Coast Gymnastics and the Northern Gold Coast Basketball Association. Our main demographics are school-age kids, basically year 5 to year 12. And that's one of the reasons we chose it for the Pick Me for Kids. For me, implementing, the first thing I needed to do was convince my chef. We'd spoken about a new menu change just recently, so implementing the healthy options was quite easy for us to migrate into that process. Next, I needed some easy wins. So an easy win for us was simply moving the water from the bottom of the fridge where nobody could see it, and we put it at the top with prime position. We set the target of having 10 to 12 green items available all day, every day. So a mixture of cabinet items, cooked to order, snacks, drinks. The gap in our quietest day and our busiest day is huge, so we needed to take that into consideration. We didn't want food just sitting in a cabinet going to waste. So we looked definitely at our cooked to order, but we also utilised food in different ways. So for us, that was catering. Some of the things we tried. The top left is our chicken Tuscan chicken sandwich. Basically just a daily rotation that we do for our daily sandwiches. Top middle is a simple chicken, cheese, tomato toasty on wholemeal bread. Obviously really popular with kids in the mornings, those sorts of things. The top right is our Buddha bowl. For that was really good for us because it covered a lot of dietaries as well. So we could make it gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan. So that worked really well for us. The wrap there is our vegetable wrap. We did a number of different wraps, but that was one of those. The mango passion fruit yogurt. We did yogurt and muesli, and it was really popular for us anyway. We had to change the yogurt to a natural yogurt. We added the fruit just to give that bit of sweetness to offset the tardiness of the natural yogurt. And we haven't had a lot of complaints about it at all, which has been really good. And then we did some fancier stuff. So that's our halloumi, beetroot and orange salad. And we utilise that as part of our catering as well. We also did some bundles. So for us, watermelon was always a big seller in our sports centres. So bundling that up with a wrap and obviously a water pushed that healthy items that way as well. One of our most successful items was our teriyaki chicken rice bowl. Simply boiled rice, grilled chicken, teriyaki sauce, and some ginger. The beauty of this product, it wasn't just how simple it was, but it was also versatile. So through the day when we're a bit quieter, we could have it in the cold cabinet. And then in the evenings or through events when we're much busier, we could put it in the hot cabinet, and people could take it home with them after basketball training or things like that. Once we had all our items, we added it to our menu training when we implemented our entire new menu. I definitely recommend that in terms of saving money, saving time, implementing all that together. We did photo shoots all at the same time as well. The Pick Me for Kids program was pretty easy to implement. It was really a matter of utilising our space that we had. As you can see, we don't have huge cabinets, so we actually utilised the Pick Me for Kids materials to highlight spaces in our cabinet. And we also got a digital logo that we could put on our TVs with our food items as well. Now, there's been a bit of talk about pricing already. I'm a firm believer in realistic and reasonable pricing when it comes to healthy food. I think we all know that healthy food is renowned for being a bit more expensive. So when we looked at our pricing, we made decisions based on our entire menu mix. So we knew, because we weren't going 100% green, that our popular items would still sell well. Items that we'd basically priced that was going to give us a good return. So knowing that we could price our healthier options competitively. So we made the decision that any green item or healthy item, we would charge at the same price as a comparable item in our cabinets. So for example, we do a chicken pesto pasta salad, real simple, real easy to make, it's cheap. We sell it at the same price we do for our quinoa, pumpkin and vegetable salad, which is obviously much fresher. Basically, we didn't want to deter people from purchasing healthy items purely based off price. We were able to do that, it helped us drive our sales and their popularity, but it had zero effect on our profitability as well. Now, everyone's here today probably because you want to be, maybe you were told to be, maybe you're like me and doing a bit of research. I want to encourage everyone to have a conversation. Pick the brains of the Better Choice, the health, wellbeing people, the people sitting next to you. You're going to get much more out of it, having a conversation. Don't be like me and waste your time researching and Googling. The ABC and Pick Me for Kids is not going to drive millions of dollars into your business. It's not designed to. I can tell you from my research and my conversations, it won't cost you your business a lot of money either. But it just might make a difference in someone's healthier choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. So our last speaker for this session is Paula Sale, who I'll get to join me on the stage. So Paula served as president of the Western Districts Netball Association for over a decade. As a large sporting organisation that promotes physical activity through grassroots sport, Paula says that it was also important that they championed the importance of healthy eating. Recognising the vital role nutrition plays in overall well-being, the association has transformed the canteen offerings to ensure fresh, nutritious options are available and promoted as a natural extension of the healthy, active lifestyles encouraged on the court. Thank you, Paula.
Thanks very much, Jade. So Wests is a large sporting organisation. We've got probably 2,800 playing members, and we only operate as a sporting organisation at those grounds 17 weeks of the year. So we have 17 fixtures, but then we do offer our grounds as well. External groups hire the courts, etc. And we take the opportunity to open the canteen on those days as well. So just to make a little bit more money for the association through the canteen. With families that are coming to the grounds with the junior players, we've probably got about 5,000 visitors to the grounds each week. So the push to move to healthy food options probably started with our representative teams. We'd take the teams away to state carnivals. We got a dietitian in to talk to the players about how they could fuel their bodies for those 4 days of the carnivals. And as we were the ones providing the food for the 4 days, we obviously had to follow the guidelines from the dietitian as well. So we introduced the healthy food options with our rep players first. And then it made sense that we complemented the active lifestyles that we were promoting out on the court with our canteen at our facilities out at Graceville. Our canteen, when we first started, was probably very typical, built in the 80s, not particularly inviting or attractive, and we sold soft drinks and chips and not a great deal else. So when we started, we did start small. We just introduced sandwiches to begin with, sandwiches and some fruit. But to tell the truth, they didn't sell particularly well at the beginning. We found that people couldn't see them. They were back, tucked away in the drinks cabinet with a little bit of spare space. So we sort of had the sandwiches hidden away, and customers just didn't know they were there. So in 2020, we chose to remodel the canteen. We converted it to a sort of walk-in canteen, self-serve with display fridges and things, so that we could really make the healthy food options the star of the show. So obviously it was important that we let the colour speak for itself. All the fresh ingredients are highly visible, and we found that the demand for healthy foods really took off once we were displaying it properly. We made it very convenient, so if you need cutlery, the cutlery's attached there. You can see there's a little cocktail stick in with a watermelon there. So it's just a really option that it's just as easy to grab a pot of watermelon as it is to grab a pot of chips or something like that. So we needed to make the foods easy for people to consume once they'd bought it. The packaging was important for us, so we really try and display the foods let the food sell itself. Obviously, if you've got the food displayed in a clear container and you can see the fresh ingredients that are inside what you're buying, then the food does the talking. Much more appealing to see that than a sandwich that's just wrapped up in a little bit of paper. Our salads also have the cutlery attached, so people can just grab and go with the salads. So once we started displaying our foods properly and they were selling well, we experimented with what we had on offer. Started introducing things like veggie sticks with hummus. Granola was an easy one. It keeps well in the cupboard, so do chia seeds. And then we'd just have some yogurt and some berries on the top on Saturdays when we opened the canteen. We introduced the sushi and rice paper rolls. Some things worked, some things didn't. For whatever reason, the options that we've provided that are hot options haven't tended to work as well. Lasagna, veggie bakes, those sorts of things haven't taken off. But all of the options that we've tried in the cold display cabinets have really been popular. So that's what we've focused on at the moment. We might try again with the hot stuff on some cold winter days, but for the moment, most of our focus with the healthy range is on the refrigerated options. When we were providing foods for our representative players, as the years have gone on, we've had more and more requests for different dietary requirements. So it made sense that we then offered that in the canteen as well. Vegetarian options are always nice and easy. An egg and lettuce sandwich is easy to present, or a salad wrap. But we also started introducing gluten-free and lactose-free options for people. Initially that was just on request, but now we're finding that the demand is there, that we have them as a standard option every Saturday. So this is what our canteen looks like now. We took away the bars and the front counter. So people walk into the canteen, help themselves, so it's a self-serve arrangement, just like you'd find at Suncorp Stadium. And then as you leave, people pay on the way out. You can see we've opted the square point of sale system with the barcode scanners, much faster getting people through the door, and when we've got thousands of people at the grounds, we do need people moving quickly through the canteen. So the things that we sell regularly, sandwiches, salads, wraps, etc., all of those barcodes are right there at the till. But for some of the items that we sell that probably not in the same sort of quantities, then we put the barcode on the item itself, so that it can still be managed quickly as we take people through the point of sale at the exit of the canteen. So this lovely display fridge was a bit of a game changer for us. It's obviously clear to see all of the contents inside the fridge. It's got the sliding glass doors on the front for the customers to help themselves, but also sliding glass doors at the back. So we've got our staff madly making sandwiches and salads out the back and restocking as they go. The fridge we've got at the moment is 1.5 metres long, and we have got to the stage now where we have more food than will fit in that, so that all of the overflow items are being stored in the cold room we've got out the back, and then during the day we're bringing them out and refilling that fridge. So we're going through a lot of healthy food options each Saturday. The other thing that was important was having plenty of bench space to make the fresh options. We make most of the stuff there from scratch on site. We had a garage and sort of storage area right next to our canteen, so we booted the groundskeeper out of that, put him in a shed down the back, and we took over that space so that we could have the preparation area, cold room. We've put an extra coffee machine in there, so we've really set ourselves up so that we can produce large volumes of food. Obviously, it is more labour intensive if you're preparing all of your food from scratch. We've tried to reduce the amount of labour that's required by making sure that we've got the right equipment on hand, mandolins, food processors, those sorts of things. If we've got a big event, then we will buy in pre-cut vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes, grated carrots, those sorts of things. And a new revelation for us was recently during the shortage of eggs that we had, and we couldn't get raw eggs for the life of us. We found that our supplier was still selling boiled and pre-peeled eggs, so we jumped on those, and we've kept that up since eggs are more readily available. We still are buying the pre-peeled eggs, which have been great. The other thing that doesn't take a great deal of preparation is the sushi and rice paper rolls that we introduced. So we have a supplier who delivers those for us first thing on a Saturday morning. So while we're, we've got the labour involved in making our salads, etc., we do have some items that are easy to just pop in the fridge as well. The other thing we do is we bring a staff member in the day before. So on Friday afternoon for 2 or 3 hours, we'll have a young staff member who comes in and just pre-chops all of the vegetables and fruit for the following day. That way we can hit the ground running on Saturday when we're making our healthy options for everybody. Is that gone? No, there we go. I applied for a lot of grants to make the changes to our canteen. So if you're a not-for-profit organisation, strongly recommend applying for grants. It's cheaper than running a barbecue or more profitable for you than running a barbecue at Bunnings to get the funds to redesign your canteen. So sporting associations, P&Cs, any not-for-profit organisations really encourage you to apply for grants. Reducing waste's obviously a consideration when you're preparing and serving healthy foods. We keep stocks of longer lasting vegetables and then just week to week we'll top up with the more perishable items. So, on a Friday afternoon, our canteen convener will buy some berries and things that we'll put in our fruit salad the following day. We also use ingredients in multiple configurations so that we can offer variety but still keep the number of ingredients that we've got exposure to in terms of risk of waste loss down to a minimum. But probably the most important strategy is the record keeping. So Cheryl, our canteen convener, who's over here in the towards the back of the room there, she keeps meticulous records. We're hosting a carnival on Friday, this Friday week, and Cheryl will have consulted her records from last year when we hosted that event. She'll tell me whether it was a hot day or a cold day, whether the sandwiches sold first thing in the morning or whether then they'll be a little bit slow in the morning, but you wait until lunchtime because we'll be smashed for sandwiches at lunchtime. So absolute meticulous record keeping helps us in terms of managing any loss of the fresh produce. So these are the sorts of numbers of fresh items that we're selling now. We still do offer chips and sausage rolls, those sorts of things, but we probably have a greater variety of the healthy option than we do of the less healthy options. So weekend just passed, we had our fixtures on the Saturday and then a carnival on the Sunday, and in that time we sold hundreds of healthy options to people. The other thing the Square point of sale system tells us is whether people are new customers or whether they're repeat customers. And most Saturdays, we've sort of got an 85-90% return customer rate. So people are obviously happy with what they're getting and coming back. Oh, I'll need to go back. That one? There we go. There's our lovely Cheryl. Big shout out to Cheryl. She's really come on board in supporting the choices of offering healthy choices to our members. Cheryl has been volunteering, I'm going to say for 20 years. Cheryl, is that right? About there. 20 years managing our canteen and being our events coordinator. And in a time when it is harder and harder to get volunteers, Cheryl's one of a kind. But real gem. She's still delivering the healthy foods for us, still smiling, and honestly, the change really needs a champion. And Cheryl's come along the ride with us for that, so that's been great.
Thanks, Paula. You can take a seat. I'd also like to welcome the other two speakers back to the stage, and we will fire some questions at them. Please include some questions on the app if you have any questions. Otherwise, we can also roam around with a microphone if you would prefer. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to kick us off with our first question directed at Lauren. How has the limited range of tuck shop options been received? Do you have a mass increase in sales for red days?
Is this on? Yeah. We don't use our red days for tuck shop. So I can't really give you exactly a comparable answer on that. So when we first reopened our tuck shop for term 4 last year, for a school of 380, 390 students, we were averaging 100 orders per week, which we were really happy about. So that was across the term, like some weeks it was 80 and some weeks we went, oh, it's 115 and, you know, but yeah, that averaged out across the term. For our red days, we use them for big fundraisers. So like a great big sausage sizzle for Democracy Sausage, because our school is a polling place on election days and things like that. So we just, in consultation with the principal, we've made a choice that we don't have our tuck shop and our tuck shop food and our tuck shop days associated with treat days. They're just entirely separate.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go another question to you, and I'm going to combine a couple. So how did you find a convener? What methods do you use at attracting and maintaining volunteers, or how do you get parents excited or keen to volunteer at your school?
Yeah, thank you. The convener was really tough. I was just saying to someone else out at morning tea that for us we actually had to run a full recruitment process, which we attracted, I think, 45 applicants. We invited 5 along for interviews. Only 1 turned up. We offered that person a job. They then went and found another job in the interim, and the whole process came to an end. We reconvened as a P&C and decided that we were going to give it another go, that the burden of completely running the tuck shop just was not sustainable on volunteers in the long run. Went back out with all the time and costs associated and ran a new recruitment process, and this second most recent recruitment process has attracted a convener, and we were very quick to provide him a verbal offer and then follow up with the documentation, because we'd learned from the previous time that you know, they're very, very rare, very difficult to find a good convener. He has a catering and restaurant kind of background, and we attracted a few applicants along those lines, and I think for those people, whether they already have another job or they have other commitments that they have to work around, that sort of part-time, only during school term job kind of suits them, but for a lot of people it doesn't. So yeah, we found that really, really challenging and are just so grateful to now have a convener. In terms of volunteers, as I said in my presentation, like we just recognised when we were starting to make changes and we were, you know, going through this whole change program, that the space itself, the previous conveners' interactions with volunteers, that none of that was a particularly enticing experience for our volunteers. We needed to make the space easier to work in, we needed to make it lighter and brighter, we needed to make volunteer sign-ups easier through something like Sign Up Genius. We just had a lot of ways that we could improve, and even just through things like our Vice President that led our Tuck Shop Task Force and then also was responsible for running the Tuck Shop in the term 4 last year. She would bring in iced coffee and offer everyone an iced coffee in the morning when opening up the tuck shop. She would bring in a little speaker and play some music, so that was this sort of fun, upbeat environment. We'd take photos of us having fun. We would post them on social media, putting out the call out for volunteers for next week. So yeah, for us it was very much about making that volunteer experience enjoyable and one that would attract people to want to come along and help.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm going to flick to Adam to talk about the Pick Me work that you've been doing, and I know Paula, it's also at West, so feel free to chime in if you'd like to as well. How does language like Pick Me for a healthier choice impact young people, given the push for all foods are good foods to support eating disorders like ARFID?
Good question, and I wish I had a really good answer. The Pick Me for Kids is definitely obviously designed to drive better choices. So it's designed to, the logo is designed to capture kids' attention, and then obviously connect the dots with the food that it's next to. So to answer about eating disorders and things like that, I don't think it would deter, because I still think that you're still promoting food anyway. So that's probably my best answer.
Anything to add, Paula?
Yeah, so we've only probably, it's been a month that we've been involved in the Pick Me program, and at the moment the way we have our displays configured, the cold options are pretty much everything in that fridge is a healthy option. So we've been able to put the splatter the Pick Me stickers and things all across that cold display unit, and then the hot box next to it sadly doesn't have any at all. But it's there. It's what people see when they first walk into the canteen. As they walk in, the first thing that's visible for them is the healthy cold displays, and then we've got a fridge next to that which has just got the water in it. We do still sell other drinks, but they're sort of further down and around. It's not the first thing people see when they walk in. So hopefully that'll be, catching somebody's attention as they walk in, and they'll decide that that's the best option for them.
So I did see a question in there about how to get access to the Pick Me materials. If you're interested in it, feel free to talk to one of the people at the A Better Choice stand just outside. We'll have some more information there. So back to you, Paula. Did you find there were any issues with food getting stolen with the new tuck shop setup being self-service?
No, we do keep records, of how much we've put out and then how much gets sold. So we haven't noticed a huge problem there, and we do have security cameras that are sort of on our canteen as well. So if it was going to be a huge problem, we'd go back through the footage in the CCTV footage, but we haven't needed to do that. There are staff working behind those fridges pretty much most of the time, so they've got half an eye on people coming, and I don't know, it's hard to stuff a salad or a sandwich down the front of your jumper. Probably not that appealing, so we haven't found that it's been a problem.
Lauren, did you get much backlash for revamping the menu? So this is a question coming from a school with a large percentage of students with neurodiversity. Small changes like removing nuggets was met with massive backlash. Any comments there?
I have two sets of comments. One is actually specifically nugget related.
Great.
My first nugget experience was when I took on the role of the convener of the swim club canteen, and I was educating myself on smart choices. I was looking through the Ready Reckoner. I was like, okay, what do I need to know? And I went in there, and my handover was, we have 2 massive bags of nuggets. They need to be used in the next couple of months, next month or 2. And I'd just been reading through this Ready Reckoner and everything, and I was like, oh no. And the other people who were involved in other aspects of swim club, not the canteen, were like, we'll just stick them in the air fryer, we'll just sell these buckets of nuggets. And I was like, oh, that's not really smart choices compliant. Like, they have a great big bucket full of nuggets for young children. but it got us to think creatively. We're like, okay, we are, have no real profit here. We are a very small operation. We cannot afford to throw these nuggets out. What are we going to do with them? So we decided to have a wraps night, and we had different style of wraps available, and one of them, which was our best seller, was a nugget wrap. So we were air frying nuggets, putting several nuggets on a wrap, and then offering all these salad options. The wraps were wholemeal, and yeah, they sold really well. So anyway, that's my tangential nugget story. They actually sold so well that we had several nugget wrap nights, and so we ended up selling the 2 enormous bags of nuggets. Look, I would say that with having a tuck shop closed for almost 2 years, it was both a weakness for our school, but it was also a massive opportunity. And the massive opportunity was that there were 2 year levels of students who had never experienced what tuck shop was before and what was previously on the menu, and that there was certain students and parents who couldn't remember what was previously on the menu. So we didn't actually face a whole lot of backlash when we introduced our menu. There was 1 or 2, what's with all the rabbit food kind of comments or that sort of thing. But I found it came from the parents, whereas the kids themselves, if you walk past them at lunchtime, they are absolutely getting stuck into their butter chicken and rice and their healthy spag bowl and wholemeal pasta and their wholemeal mini pizzas. So no, we haven't. I do understand the issues with neurodivergent kids. My eldest son, the one who's at school, is actually neurodivergent, and I struggle to get him to eat anything on a tuck shop menu. So that's just a personal struggle of mine, so I'm sorry I can't help there, but yeah, I do understand the challenges and the resistance to change. Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm going to ask a question firstly to Lauren, but the other 2 I'm going to pass on to you as well for you to answer in your own context. So does your tuck shop make a profit?
Yes.
And how did it go with introducing the healthier options?
Profit and the need to worst case scenario just break even, because as I said, we had our own profit centres and we had so few ability to cost shift that we just knew that the tuck shop just needed to reopen and it needed to make a profit. So we built in the conveners' wages from the start, we built in all the packaging costs, we built in a bit of extra for wastage, those sorts of things. But yeah, we just priced accordingly. We just knew that they're young children, they don't need huge portion sizes, so we did very reasonable portion sizes to begin with. And yeah, sure, some of the Year 6 boys order 2 spaghetti bolognese for them, but we're catering for kids like as young as prep kids. So we just priced accordingly from the start. Yeah.
Adam, how about you?
Yeah, look, I touched it, I guess, on my presentation. The pricing for us, it needed to be comparative to everything else to drive the popularity of the items. A bit like John when he was speaking up earlier, we absorbed a lot of that, a lot of the cost, but I didn't have to absorb as much as I thought I would. As I said, I was fearful doing it. I thought we were going to lose money. That was my first reaction. Now I've been doing it for 6 months almost. It hasn't changed our profitability at all, and I won't say we're more profitable, but we are definitely as profitable.
And Paula?
Yeah, we're profitable. I don't know how much I should share. We'll probably make about 50,000 in our canteen this year. And that's all profits that go back into the association. We price the items accordingly. We have, sort of done a bit of a comparison. What could you buy this salad for if you went into Coles or a cafe down the road and try and get it middle of the road? We're not providing the same level of service that a cafe might, but we're probably, well, they are definitely, our salads are much nicer than the ones you're going to buy in Coles. So we've used that as a price guide, and been quite profitable.
Thank you, and I think that is time for our session today, so please join me in thanking our speakers today.